The whole thing kicks off right in the center of a dungeon, with a colossal one-eyed monster dropping a seriously creepy roar. Next thing you know, the beast charges, leaving the girls who were investigating the spot in a massive pinch. Totally panicking, one of the adventurers questions why such an overpowered enemy is even there, knowing a win is basically off the table. In the middle of a totally botchous attempt, we find out that a brand new rule dropped in the year 2050. From then on, these wild, mysterious structures called dungeons started popping up all over Earth. These sketchy environments housed lethal beasts, but they also hid some insanely priceless loot. At the same time, a bunch of people stepped up, totally down to brave these danger zones. In no time, these fearless folks got global clout under the title of explorers. Because of this, humanity completely shifted gears, tuning into these wild journeys via live streams. Through their phone screens, viewers watch in pure shock as Team Astera gets cornered by this unbeatable Cyclops. Right at that make or break moment, a mysterious figure crashes the battlefield. Thinking it's game over, the girls are absolutely terrified. But out of nowhere, a woman shows up, landing a hyper-precise strike on the beast. She pulls off this crazy, glowing move that literally tears through the wind. The hit lands dead center, wiping out the danger and completely flipping the script on the fight. The heroine touches down gracefully and gives the girls props for holding out so bravely. In that exact second, the livestream chat goes absolutely wild upon recognizing the level 99 adventurer. It's none other than Tawa Fuyutsuki, literally the most overpowered S-class explorer in the game right now. Wasting zero time, our heroine drops a devastating top-down strike straight at the monster. Flexing max confidence, she dares the creature to show what it's got while summoning her own shadows. Her signature move activates, and the Cyclops takes a critical hit, wrapping up the boss fight. Completely wiped out, the colossal beast hits the dirt. However, the chat gets super confused when they spot a bizarre figure on screen, suddenly remembering the golden rule of this gig. The terrified girls can barely process what they're seeing in the room. It's common knowledge that only women awaken these skills, but wait. There's a massive exception right here. A dude is out here flexing his powers, leaving everyone shook in a system completely run by women. Enter adventurer Haruhito Ayukawa, whose journey has a pretty mysterious start. This is the story of the only guy aiming for the absolute top of this universe, walking through the rubble while muttering about his situation. Exhausted and staring at the sky, our hero admits to himself that he really doesn't want to bite the dust out here. Knowing he's got a long road ahead, he hypes himself up, saying his time definitely hasn't come yet. The scene cuts to a classroom, where a teacher is completely losing it, yelling for Ayukawa to wake up. The guy jolts awake after getting roasted for falling asleep at his desk again. Every single student turns their head to check out the drama at the back of the room. Still groggy from his dream, Haruhito struggles to figure out what's going on. The rest of the class starts whispering, calling the dude a total flop and saying he doesn't belong at the academy. Annoyed by the student's laziness, the teacher decides to put him on the spot, asking what the absolute highest adventurer rank is. Caught off guard, Haruhito thinks for a second but answers that it's rank S. Immediately, the whole class reacts with pure shock and a heavy dose of sarcasm. The room bursts into laughter, totally clowning the guy for his lack of basic lore. Two classmates mock him, saying everyone knows about the SS rank and that he can't even pronounce Toa Fuyutsuki's name right. Brushing off the haters, Haruhito realizes his vibe really doesn't match this place anyway. Frustrated with himself, he sits back down, taking another L. The teacher uses our boy as a literal warning label, telling the class not to end up like him, since no woman would ever provide for a useless guy. Knowing he's going to be the joke of the week for a while, Haruhito reflects on how the era of men running the world is super over. Meanwhile, his classmates keep throwing him the most judgmental side eyes. Shortly after, an announcement drops that the elite explorer student, Natsuki Natsukawa, is joining the cooking class, demanding total respect. Natsuki is top-tier popular, basically idolized for her skills and flawless aesthetic. The guys lose their minds, gossiping in the halls about the VIP student pulling up. While the dudes scheme up ways to aggressively simp for her attention, Haruhito just finds the whole thing cringe. Annoyed, our MC questions why all the guys are obsessed with acting like total fanboys. This Explorer Academy runs on some wildly unique rules. Here, the girls are trained to throw hands, while the guys are literally trained to do the dishes and fold laundry. The whole world got flipped and is now run strictly by women who can pop off magic powers. From day one, boys are taught to pamper and serve the future saviors of humanity. But Haruhito is labeled a lost cause because he totally rejects this whole setup. In class, one girl straight up refuses the meal he cooked, calling his whole attitude a joke. On the flip side of the room, Natsuki tries a different dish and is totally into it. She's amazed by the flavor and jokes that she'd totally marry whoever cooked it just to eat like that every day. The VIP girl hypes up Haruhito's food, and he says thanks, looking a bit awkward about it. Being super sweet, Natsuki smiles and tells our MC she's already memorized his name. The other guys watch this go down, literally turning green with envy over his main character moment. Salty as heck, one student grumbles that the MC just cut the line with the famous adventurer. Away from the drama, Haruhito sits solo in a corner of the courtyard, scrolling on his phone. Deep in thought, he concludes that the only path for guys is getting a sugar mommy, since they're permanently banned from dungeon crawling. Looking at his failed aptitude test, he remembers how, since he was a kid, he refused to drop his dream. Suddenly, his chill time is wrecked by some bullies who pull up just to mess with him. They roast Haruhito for being a loner and accuse him of plotting some sneaky way to simp for Natsuki. Shocked by the unprovoked beef, the hero tries to clear his name, saying he's literally doing nothing of the sort. Out of nowhere, one of the guys brutally stomps on his phone, accusing Haruhito of being full of himself. The screen shifts to a practice dungeon, where a squad of girls is welcoming the newbies. The bullies drag Haruhito in by force, and the girls instantly recognize the student infamous for his so-called ego. The head bully shoves our hero super aggressively in front of the whole squad. While trying to pick up his smashed phone, Haruhito hears the bully sarcastically ask if he really thinks he can glitch the system. The girls find out about the MC's dream to take the Explorer exam and think the idea is straight up delusional. They all start cracking up, suggesting they dish out a penalty to put the guy back in his place. Keeping Haruhito locked down, the bully reminds him that peak male performance is becoming a stay-at-home husband or something. The girls' squad completely agrees, boldly stating guys would never make it as adventurers. Looking pretty roughed up, the guy listens to the bully rant about hating people who can't accept reality, telling him to stop capping. Right then, the bully steps on his head, asking if he's going to apologize for having such a goofy dream. Pinned and bruised, our hero wonders if the smart play is just to fake a smile and beg for mercy right there. But nope, he refuses to fold, gripping the bully's leg super tight to hit back at the disrespect. Triggered by the audacity, the bully goes harder with the beatdown while Haruhito debates if he should just tap out. One of the female students watches with a bit of pity, pointing out that the power gap is massive and being this stubborn makes zero sense. Staying quiet, he internally agrees with her logic and asks himself why he's tanking all this damage for a pipe dream. Suddenly, a flashback hits him, showing two kids having a blast on a beach. In the memory, a young Haruhito flexes his confidence, swearing he'll become an explorer to prove his worth. Super hyped, the little girl agrees and says she's taking that path too, since they're besties. Smiling, he's totally down for the idea and promises he'll be waiting for that day. The two of them fist bump, locking in a super important pact for their future. Snapping back to the present day beatdown, the injured MC low-key roasts himself, wondering if he's just an idiot. Scraping together his last bit of stamina, he starts getting up, remembering that promise was the real deal. With an insanely intimidating look, he glares at the bullies, warning them that a bunch of background NPCs could never understand his grind. Totally shook by the aura switch, the bully and the girls are super confused by the dude's guts. Furious, the bully steps up again, claiming he needs to hand out a permanent lesson now. While the bully is yapping about how ambition leads to disaster, a monstrous shadow creeps up right behind him. Showing zero fear, Haruhito just smirks and tells the bully to go touch grass. A split second later, a terrifying crash echoes through the entire training dungeon. A massive, nightmare-fueled beast, looking like a three-headed dog, jumps into the middle of the room, traumatizing everyone. Panicking hard, the girls scream, completely clueless as to how a boss-level threat spawned in the tutorial zone. The creature drops a violent roar, blasting the students backward and causing absolute chaos. Despite the disaster, our hero stays chilling in the exact same spot, watching the whole thing like it's a movie. He instantly tags the beast as a high-tier monster that literally has no business being there. Suddenly, a thick, dark energy wraps around the guy, signaling the comeback of his true main character arcs. A system pop-up hits him with a "congratulations," leaving Haruhito slightly shook by his brand new title. He stares at his hands, feeling the power buzzing, while a mysterious voice confirms his leveled up status. The system grants him the max adventurer rank, and the dude feels like that voice is super familiar. Sprawled on the floor, the girls watch in total disbelief as this colossal monster gets completely bodied by a random dude. One of them whispers in shock, saying it's literally impossible for a guy to hold magic powers. Completely losing it, the bully points at the MC and orders the girls to take him out. The bully tries to manipulate the girls into getting rid of the guy so they can steal the credit for beating the boss. Faced with this insane logic, Haruhito asks what kind of absolute garbage the bully is spouting. Hinge, the student, screams that he would never accept a man out flexing a woman. Driven by pure panic, the female students agree the whole scene is glitched and breaks global rules. Ignoring the haters' meltdown, our hero feels his body surging with power, perfectly remembering how to use his cheat code abilities. Giving them a quick heads up to back off, he lets out an energy wave that swats everyone away like flies. Shaking uncontrollably, the bully stammers, completely failing to process the crazy power right in front of him. In a final act of hardcore denial, the bully charges in screaming, claiming Haruhito is required by law to be a loser. Without even blinking, the adventurer just raises his hand and casually snaps his fingers. The hit connects with the bully instantly, completely deleting his desperate attack. Rolling his eyes to the back of his head, the arrogant dude passes out, finally shutting up. The bully's body gets yeeted into the distance by the insane force of the impact, crashing into the dirt. Super chill, Haruhito gives a sarcastic apology, letting them know he really doesn't care about their weird superiority complex. As the system confirms the threat is cleared and asks if he wants to head back to school, he walks away from the defeated girls. Hard passing on going back to class, he keeps pushing into the dungeon, shredding any obstacle in his way. Curious about the memories flashing in his brain, he figures he needs to dig into the lore of his past. 2 different lifetimes merge in his head, linking his current weak status with his past life as an absolute unit of an adventurer. Fast forward 3 days, instead of going to homeroom, he sets up camp in an empty dungeon hunting for answers. Walking toward a mysterious glow, the guy admits he really wants to grind for more power to figure this meta out. Hitting the hidden room, he spots a familiar artifact and is totally mind blown by what he finds. In the middle of the lit room, a mythic sword is just chilling on an altar, waiting for its owner. The second he grabs the weapon, a massive energy surges around it, proving it's a national treasure, level divine relic. Holding the blade, he confirms his memories are legit, and the only patch note in this new era is the female-only magic rule. Suddenly, a system ping interrupts his thoughts, popping up in SOS signal nearby. The screen drops the stats of an adventurer in trouble, showing the popular girl is about to meet her maker. Recognizing the girl who hyped up his cooking at school, he's totally shocked by the grim prediction. The system monitor plays super dark clips of the future, basically guaranteeing the idolized girl will catch a game over today. He realizes the tragic events of his past run are looping exactly the same way in this new server. The memory of her sweet smile complimenting his food hits him, right in the feels. Gripping the sacred hilt, he rejects this bad ending and decides a real main character doesn't just AFK during a crisis. Once again, that childhood promise to prove his worth acts as the ultimate buff to his willpower. He remembers the endgame goal he set with his childhood bestie, reach the top and be the greatest ever. Oozing confidence, our hero readies the mythic sword, knowing exactly what needs to go down next. Far away, the zone is an absolute mess, with Natsuki spamming her entire kit against a mob of brutal monsters. Super beat up and hiding quietly, she chuckles nervously, crossing her fingers that her squad managed to log out in time. But the quick breather is over when an armored colossus spots her in her hiding spot. Sweating bullets, the adventurer realizes her attacks do 0 damage, and she has absolutely no way out. The massive monster raises its huge blade, ready to deliver the final strike on the defenseless girl. Unable to dodge in time, she takes the heavy hit and gets aggressively launched into the distance. Sprawled out with some nasty broken bones, the girl sadly accepts it's the end of the line. In her last milliseconds, her only vibe is hoping her sacrifice bought her friends some time, since no backup is coming. Exhausted, Natsuki secretly cries over having so many bucket list items left unchecked. She thinks about basic stuff, like eating more amazing food and eventually finding a nice guy to marry. Meanwhile, the giant takes another terrifying step toward the fallen adventurer. Staring down the ugly beast, she sighs, remembering that the guy's cooking back at school was actually fire. Watching the enemy's sword go up, the girl panics, realizing she really doesn't want to clock out here. Right at that exact frame, Haruhito spawns out of nowhere, dropping a super heavy shadow attack from above. The impact is totally devastating, flooding the zone with a dark force that completely deletes the beast's attack. Blown by the clutch save, Natsuki asks who this shadowy figure even is. Without looking back, our hero replies smooth as ice that he's literally just an adventurer. Instantly, the hit monster stumbles, feeling the massive damage from the slash. Capitalizing on the opening, the guy grips his mythic sword, charging up an even crazier amount of shadow energy. Moving at light speed, he rushes the monster and lands a fatal hit, slicing the air from the ground up. After the flawless combo, the MC pulls his hand back, letting the sword slide right back into the scabbard. Feeling the energy flow through him, he figures his memory files are finally fully restored. The adventurer raises his hand glowing with crazy light, confident he's finally mastered his magic toolkit. The shadow explosion completely swallows the monster, dealing catastrophic area of effect damage. Unable to tank the hit, The enemy's armor gets dusted while it drops a horrific scream. Totally bodied, the giant crumbles, while the hero just complains about the annoying sound it made. The creature's body turns into dark smoke, dropping nothing but a shiny magic crystal as loot. Holding the rare drop, Haruedo checks out the crystal to see if it's actually useful. Amazed by the impossible win, the girl can barely process the gameplay and asks again who her carry is. Keeping his face hidden in the shadows, the guy brushes off the question and gives her props for fighting hard. Hearing his voice up close, Natsuki recognizes the tone and is completely shook when she connects the dots. Peeking over his shoulder, our hero drops a sarcastic joke about how guys supposedly shouldn't be adventurers. Giving a super brief goodbye, he wishes her a long life and literally vanishes into thin air, while she begs him to hold up. Still stuck on the dungeon floor, the girl reaches out to nothing, trying to grab the mysterious dude. Not really understanding what just went down, she keeps whispering to herself, dying to know his real backstory. Suddenly, the reality hits her and the adventurer blushes super hard, realizing what just happened. Walking chill down a dark alley, Haruedo seriously thinks about what his next quest objective should be. Looking at the rejection email on his phone, he weighs his current stats to pick his next move. 5 days later, a super hyped reporter is covering the start of the annual entry exam for wannabe explorers. In the middle of the crowd, the reporter spots a guy and decides to pull him for a quick interview. Startled by the camera, Haruedo hesitates a sec but politely agrees to talk. The journalist asks if he's just there to watch, and our hero confidently replies he's here to take the exam. Trying not to laugh, the reporter mockingly asks if the guy somehow passed the magic screening. Keeping it 100% real, the MC admits he failed, but explains he can still enter if he donates dungeon loot to the guild. Hearing his logic, the journalist makes up her mind and assumes the dude is totally delusional. Flashing a fake smile, she offers to walk him to the registration desk, which he totally coolly accepts. Reaching the front desk, the worker gives him a hard look and asks if he's actually trying to register. Confirming he is, the guy is told to fork over the required loot for the judges to appraise. Right behind him, the reporter is secretly cracking up, thinking he brought some trash tier crystal he bought online. Shocking the entire room, the hero drops a massive glowing crystal on the desk, instantly recognized as A tier loot. Jaw on the floor, the reporter freaks out internally, realizing that taking down a beast that drops that would make him a god tier adventurer. But her internal crisis gets cut short when an annoyed appraiser snaps at the reporter to zip it. The reporter is totally thrown off by the random yelling, clueless as to why the worker is sweating. Inspecting the item super closely, the judge realizes the crystal's energy breaks the A-class scale and admits she's never seen anything like it. Stunning everyone, she announces the item needs to be held for deep testing and asks permission to keep it safe. Watching from the sidelines, the reporter gets salty, thinking it's absolute nonsense they accepted a donation from a guy. But she quickly gets her hopes up about him failing, happily remembering the physical test is still on the schedule. Gearing up for the physical, Haruedo walks casually toward a massive testing stone in the center of the room. Right before his turn, a rival touches the machine, making the stone flash a super bright green. The screen shows the girl hit 87 points, securing a C-tier license and an auto pass. Watching the setup, the reporter is fully convinced the hero is about to embarrass himself, deeply believing guys have zero magic potential. The worker explains the rules to our MC, noting he needs to break 50 points to move on, but she looks pretty doubtful. For the machine, the guy realizes it's gonna be tough to nerf his own power so he doesn't go viral. The second his fingers tap the gear, a massive wave of blue magic explodes everywhere, leaving the judge speechless. Eyes wide, the event staff go into total panic mode over the insane amount of supernatural energy. The machine's screen bugs out and displays over 999 points, tagging his strength as way beyond S-class. Completely losing her mind, one of the staff screams in terror upon seeing such broken stats coming from a dude. Watching the whole thing, the reporter goes into hard denial, trying to convince herself the machine just lagged. Furious at the high score, the journalist yells at the guy not to act like a boss and demands he redo the test right now. Trying to stay polite, the guy asks to go again, while the woman swears it was just a technical glitch. Up in the stands, a bunch of passing girls check their scores, while the reporter keeps mauling over what just happened. The journalist's brain literally refuses to accept that a boy just out scaled the magic of the Academy's rising stars. Seeing other girls use magic, the woman reassures herself that the world's lore about men can't possibly be wrong. With the testing machine about to blue screen, the hero pulls his hand back, proving he wasn't exploiting a glitch. In his head, a memory pops up of a girl from his past, giving him a super deep and nostalgic look. The bright eyes from that flashback carry the exact same vibe that kick-started his whole grind. Turning his head with serious confidence, Haruito asks if he's officially cleared to enter the main phase of the tournament. His mind drifts back to that childhood vow when the two besties swore to take over the server together. That super wholesome promise became his ultimate shield against all the toxic bias of today's society. The sweet face of the girl in his memory acts as a permanent reminder of why he can't back down now. Miles away, deep in sleep, Toa admits to herself that she's been stuck watching the same dream on repeat. In her high-end room, the world's most unbeatable explorer misses a summer from forever ago that she can never replay. Cutting back to the massive packed stadium, the announcer hypes the crowd, officially starting the main tournament bracket. In the middle of the arena, the host loudly explains this is a battle royale, and anyone knocked out of bounds gets banned from passing. The Jumbotron shows all the passing candidates ready for a free, for all where anything goes. In the bleachers, the students are gossiping aggressively about the huge plot twist of this year's exam. Looking down at the arena, they're totally shook to see our MC down there, marking the biggest glitch in the system ever. The announcer repeats on the mic that, wildly enough, there is actually a dude competing in the exam. Instantly, a massive wave of booing floods the whole stadium. Finding the drama hilarious, the host warns that the rules stay exactly the same, even if he's just a squishy guy. The crowd keeps raging, watching the solo guy chilling in the middle of the arena. Watching from the VIP lounge, adventurer Itsuki Satsuki thinks it's an absolute joke they let a boy down there. On the flip side, Yuka watches the event totally chill, thinking all his edge is actually kind of cute. Meanwhile, Clara Kurosaki views the whole thing differently, labeling the hero as a total psycho. Hyped by the chaos, Itsuki asks her max-level partner if she co-signs any of this. Yu just keeps her eyes locked on the field, waiting for the PvP to start. Clara keeps adjusting her mask, looking mysterious, keeping a close eye on the candidates' movements. In the VIP chair, Secretary Aria notices with disgust that the thing her boss hates most in the world has entered the chat. Showing a lot of curiosity, Toa Fiotsuki asks for the dude's gamer tag. As soon as the secretary starts reading his bio, the explorer puts a hand up to mute her, claiming she doesn't need to learn boys' names. Itsuki bursts out laughing at the flex and points out that the top-tier adventurer is still on her anti-boy agenda. Slumped in her chair, Yui disagrees, saying she thinks guys are pretty adorable when they try to fight and fail. Clara backs up the leader, swearing she also hates guys because they have weak stats and only group up in mobs. Annoyed by the vibe, Tawa thinks his passing the tutorial phase is trash and orders Aria to do a background check on the guy. Down on the field, the host finally drops the green light, officially starting the battle royale. In that exact frame, a massive wave of dark power floods the edge of the arena. The veteran adventurers widen their eyes, totally stunned by the random magic spike. Even Tawa herself is taken aback, locking onto the insane energy radiating from center stage. Surrounded by darkness, Haruhito declares it's his time to shine and activates his shadow skills. Looking dead serious, the hero remembers the pact he made with his childhood friend. The girls around him take a few steps back, terrified, having zero clue where that crazy magic is coming from. One of the students absolutely panics, asking what on earth that black energy covering the guy is. Hooked by the overpowered aura, Tawa calls her assistant back, demanding she drop the guy's info immediately. Checking the tablet, Aria confirms the mystery player is Haruito Yukawa. The Supreme Adventurer freezes for a sec, thinking the game is bugged, and immediately declares she hates that name. Glaring down, she points at the field, ranting that a guy stepping on their sacred PvP ground is just nasty. Surprised by an alert in her earpiece, the announcer broadcasts that a brand new custom rule just dropped. The host announces that any girl who takes down the guy gets an auto pass, straight from the #1 leader herself. The students on the field go wild, realizing the literal Go8 Tawa is watching their match. Flashing wicked grins, the candidates circle our hero, thinking that farming a guy for an easy pass is going to be free XP. The vibe in the arena shifts instantly, looking exactly like greedy explorers spotting a legendary chest. Moving fast, one candidate rushes in with her blade, telling our hero to log out and accept he flew too close to the sun. But the hero just raises his arm and lets them know they're skipping a basic dungeon mechanic. Wrapped in a terrifying aura, he adds that there's always a boss guarding the final drop. Maxing out his shadow stats, Haruito triggers a repelling force that launches all the attackers away at once. Yeeted into the sky, the girls are left clueless as to how a random dude has such broken knockback. The host is literally speechless watching this glitchy scenario unfold in real time. In total shock, she accidentally drops her mic, letting it clatter on the studio floor. Keeping his cool, the hero asks if the rest of the server still wants to try and gank him. He stays standing, surrounded by KO'd candidates, basically speedrunning the placement match. Itsuki is dying of laughter, thinking that flex was premium content. Yui admits the play was crazy and wonders if that dark magic is actually some sort of hacked relic. Shaking with anxiety, Clara hits full denial, whispering that it's completely impossible for a guy to have those stats. Realizing things are getting serious, the assistant tries to get her boss's attention. Getting ghosted, Arya calls her name again, sounding super worried. Toa is completely frozen standing up, staring at the field looking heavily confused. Her eyes are glued to the guy surrounded by black flames in the middle of the map. Seeing that totally unbothered attitude sends the top adventurer's brain straight back to the past. A core memory unlocks in her head, showing a boy smiling and holding his hand out to her. She remembers the summer at her relative's town, where she met the guy who's been living rent-free in her head ever since. Even though his face is a little blurry, the times they played on the beach keep spamming her dreams. The vibes from that epic sunset stuck with her through her entire solo grind phase. Heart racing, the untouchable heroine asks herself if the guy in the arena is the Haruedo she used to know. Snapping her boss out of the trance, the assistant calls out, trying to process what's happening. Toa turns away blushing super hard with the softest look, whispering sweet nothings. The assistant internally screams, noticing her leader's totally exposed, crush-struck face. Mind blown by the drama, Arya realizes she's never seen the boss act like a fangirl and connects the dots. Suddenly, Itsuki jumps up totally hyped and asks for a fast pass to dive into the arena. When the assistant tries to block her, Toa calmly raises her hand and gives the green light for her to go crazy. Flashing a feral grin, the rank 5 adventurer bows to the queen's logic. Covered in intense blue lightning, Itsuki announces she's dropping in and jumps straight out of VIP. Down in the arena, Haruto stays planted, looking at the wiped-out players all around him. The system voice pings in his head, telling him to look up. Sensing a massive aggro incoming super fast, our hero locks onto the incoming threat. Like a literal lightning bolt from the sky, Itsuki tries to land a one-hit KO from above, but the hero blocks the crash with his blade. Touching down a bit away, the attacker is impressed and asks if the guy used some teleportation hack to parry that. Totally stoked about his block, she asks if our hero is actually just a normal dude. Dropping the sarcasm, Haruito points to his own face and fires back, asking if he looks like a chick. Loving the guy's comeback, Itsuki openly admits she finds guys with heavy main character energy fascinating. Without missing a beat, the warrior charges up electricity in her hands, dropping a new patch note on the fight. Getting into her combat stance, the elite fighter promises that if he beats her, he instantly passes the exam. In the caster booth, the host and the students go into complete meltdown, refusing to believe the elite heroine just crashed the lobby. While the hero smoothly dodges her rapid-fire attacks, the caster admits nobody has any clue what the meta is right now. But one thing is totally clear to the chat, this unknown guy actually has the stats to 1v1 the top tier. Tilted by his perfect dodges, the attacker sarcastically asks if his attack button is broken or if he's just lagging. Tracking her moves with zero sweat, Haruhito realizes he can rid her entirely, thinking this whole setup is a bit goofy. So, he simply raises a hand and tanks the heroine's electric strike like it did 0 damage. Right after, our hero grabs the opponent's wrist super hard, completely removing her dodge options. The warrior's jaw drops at the absolute shutdown, while the caster tries to compute that someone just hard countered a top adventurer. Exploiting the frame advantage, the guy spins and literally yeets Itsuki into the arena ceiling with scary ease. Confused by how little stamina that took, he looks at his hands, noting the opponent was light as a feather. Far away, the launched heroine crashes hard onto a soft surface that eats the impact. Getting up a bit dizzy, Itsuki flashes a low-key smile, respecting the guy's actual power level. Chilling in a safe spot, Yui points out that her squad mate just had a really bad time down there. Behind her, Clara, still rocking the mask, thinks it's hilarious seeing their explosive teammate get tossed like that. Hugging a stuffed bunny, Yui casually mentions that the boss gave them permission to jump in too. Right after, the girl pops her ult and throws her plushie forward, wrapping it in a blinding light. The bunny transforms into a massive beast, and she warns our hero the fight just turned into a 3v1. Scanning the new mobs with his system, Haruhito notices they're all relying on sacred items to fight. Analyzing the meta, he figures modern explorers are completely carried by these borrowed buffs. In his old server, those items were basically crutches for players with 0 actual magic. Staring at his hand again, the guy remembers how weird it felt to juggle a high-tier opponent into the air. Squeezing his fist tight, he confirms to himself that the warrior basically had 0 weight. Flashing a totally focused and scary look, our hero decides this is the perfect window to flex his max level. Flashbacks of guys getting bullied in this server briefly pop into his head. Fully locked in, the MC's eye glows a sick, bright blue as he reads the enemy magic. Massive dark aura, Haruedo wonders how far he can push the limits in a game run only by girls. On the flip side, the trio of warriors smile like maniacs ready to take the boss fight head on. Kicking off the real fight, Itsuki leaps through the air, delivering a brutal kick charged with blue electricity. Without even blinking, the hero tracks the exact hitbox of the attack with insane math. The heroine is baffled when she sees the guy sidestep her ultimate like he's playing on easy mode. But he immediately has to cross his arms to tank a heavy strike falling from the sky. The impact force sends out a shockwave that leaves the attacker herself completely stunned. Not losing a frame of speed, Haruhito pushes the girl back using shadows, just as the giant beast tries to backstab him. Spinning at the perfect pixel, he parries the monster's massive hit using just one hand. Without wasting a second, the guy channels his dark energy and spawns a colossal black arm right out of the floor. The attack smashes straight into the magic beast, setting off a titanic explosion mid-arena. Completely wrecked by the burst damage, the creature gets aggressively launched out of bounds. Shook by her pet getting deleted, Yui backs up while our hero maps out his next combo at lightning speed. The girl tries to turtle up with her giant beast, but the guy has already vanished from her screen. Spamming his shadow dash, Haruhito crosses the map at terrifying speed, blowing right past Itsuki. Watching his movement, the warrior teammate freezes, seeing how broken the guy's mobility is. Stepping out of the dark fog, the MC resets his stance, ready to keep flexing his true stats. Freaking out over his perfect block, Yui sees an opening and screams, giving her friend the signal to strike. Hearing his name echo, the hero snaps his head up fast to spot the incoming aggro. Exploiting the distraction, Clara is already airborne, telling her duo to chill. With crazy skill, the masked girl spams a shower of purple blades right at the guy below. Keeping his chill untouched, the dude literally just waves his hand, acknowledging the aerial attack. Instantly, massive pillars of darkness erupt from the ground, canceling every single blade all at once. Seeing her ultimate get perfectly countered, the masked girl goes wide-eyed, completely lost. The plushy fighter cowers on the floor, saying this gameplay can't be real. Totally out of stamina, the three teammates fall back and group up on the ground to catch their breath. Totally relaxed, the hero quietly hypes himself up, knowing for a fact his build is cracked. With a slightly friendly tone, he tells the elite girls it's time to stop throwing and actually fight. The raw disrespect, the trio of adventurers lock eyes and switch to try hard mode. Flashing a feral glare, Itsuki takes the bait and swears she's gonna make the hero rage quit. A harsh wind sweeps the map, signaling the warm up is over and the real ranked match is on. In the stands, the casuals watch with their jaws dropped, refusing to accept a dude just caused a server wipe. The girls start whispering that there's gotta be a cheat code, since no guy could access that kind of kit. Down on the field, Clara hears the toxic crowd and stays totally silent. The masked fighter feels super uncomfortable with the hate speech aimed purely at the guy's gender. Ignoring the trolls, our hero brushes off the drama and holds his ground. The vibe in the crowd gets worse, with tons of students screaming he doesn't belong because he's a guy. The memory of the bullies picking on guys at school pops back up, showing how messed up this meta is. Annoyed by the chat, Clara mutters to herself, wondering why his gender even matters right now. Staring down the mob, Haruhito sighs and asks what actually makes someone a real explorer. The casuals take his speech as a massive flex and start flaming him, demanding he log off. Out of nowhere, a hyped yell breaks out from the crowd, coming from a guy who is totally sick of this toxic server. Breaking the awkward silence, the rest of the guys in the bleachers explode into cheers, backing our MC on the field. Hyped over the impossible carry, the guys celebrate like crazy, finally seeing one of their own styling on the veterans. The girls are completely terrified by the sudden uprising of the group that usually just AFKs. A flashing smiles of pure relief, the guys in the crowd hype our hero up to finish off the fighters for good. The whole stadium echoes with dudes begging Haruhito to put the adventurers on a permanent cooldown. Triggered by the boys' spam, Itsuki clicks her tongue and tells Yui this is exactly why she cancels men. Yu nods, muttering anxiously as the two of them watch the crowd's rebellion, feeling super grossed out. Clara, however, catches a massive panic attack, covering her ears and shaking, complaining there are way too many guys in the lobby. Yu and Itsuki look at their duo in shock, remembering her phobia of guys was supposed to be fully patched out. Totally bugging out, the masked warrior loses it and screams desperately, rejecting the whole nightmare scenario. The opponent have a meltdown. Haruhito tries to figure out what debuff just hit the veteran. Clara's brain spirals, coming up with the terrifying theory that all guys might have the same broken stats as the MC. Absolutely terrified by the thought, she admits she's scared to death of the OP power standing in front of her. The girl drops to the ground, curling up and crying non-stop from the massive shock. Right then, a bunch of toxic guys in the crowd notice her dropping her guard and start roasting her, confirming the internet rumors were true. The dudes verify the adventurer has a phobia of men and start spamming disrespectful comments at her crying face. Annoyed by the crowd's toxic behavior, our hero tilts his head down, listening as the insults get way out of line. Drunk on hype, the guys beg him to hand out a band to the adventurer, proving male firepower is top tier. Giving them a totally dead, icy stare, Haruhito drops a heavy warning that the guys are being way too loud. Caught off guard by the hostile response, the crowd has zero idea why their idol is turning on them. Unleashing a massive wave of dark magic across the field, our hero tells them their spam is ruining the vibe. The magic wave slams into the boys' section hard, literally knocking the wind out of them on impact. Unable to tank the massive pressure, the toxic dudes instantly pass out. Yu and Itsuki are deeply confused by his play, wondering why he just friendly fired his own fan club. Still on the floor with tears rolling, Clara looks up, totally confused by the random assist. Looking at the masked warrior, Haruhito states she's way too good to be bullied by toxic griefers like them. He remembers the insanely strong combo the adventurer pulled off while they were fighting mid-air. Analyzing her kit, our MC admits mastering those blade skills takes way more than just casual grinding. Throwing one last look at the KO'd guys, he repeats that main character energy has nothing to do with what gender you are. Dripping with confidence, our hero wraps up by saying that at the end of the day, it's all about the grind and the hustle. Happy with the dead silence in the arena, he invites the elite trio to unpause the match. Itsuki gives a soft chuckle, thinking his vibe is actually super cool, while Yu just stays quiet observing. Blushing crazy hard and with her heart racing, Clara stutters, trying to figure out the guy's real gamer tag. Standing near the down fighter, our hero replies super smoothly that he's just a max-level adventurer. Suddenly, the chill vibe gets shattered as a massive golden sword drops from the sky and impales the arena floor. Yui, Clara, and Itsuki go wide-eyed, totally terrified by the flashbang right next to them. Landing perfectly on top of the giant blade, Toa Fuyutsuki touches down and announces playtime is over. Staring down at the hero, the planet's untouchable explorer asks if he really is Haruhito Ayukawa. Gripping the handle of his own sword, the hero confirms his ID, realizing things just got real. Hearing his voice up close, the unreachable warrior drops her guard and goes completely silent for a sec. With a blushing face and the softest look, she sweetly asks if he seriously forgot about her. Blindsided by the random question, our hero lags, totally clueless about what the queen is talking about. The sparkle in the adventurer's eyes vanishes super fast when she realizes he actually wiped their co-op history from his brain. The sad girl hours switch back to a razor-sharp, try-hard glare. Moving at max speed, Toa dashes across the arena like lightning and drops a crushing blow on the guy. Sliding backward to cancel the knockback, Haruhito realizes that kind of magic definitely belongs to the rank 1 player. Keeping his balance, the hero smirks slightly and warns her he's got an old quest to complete. A super old memory hits him, confirming his vow to hit the top of the leaderboards with a special duo partner. Totally hyped for the PvP, the guy looks at the invincible adventurer and asks her to be his final boss. Hearing him mention the pact, Toa is left speechless, realizing he actually kept that save file safe in his heart. Her childhood memories sync up with the present, and she breathes a huge sigh of relief knowing he didn't delete their promise. The throwback of that beach day perfectly matches the current scene of them facing off in the arena. Snapping back to reality, the reunion vibes are ruined by a massive black tornado ripping open the sky. Both fighters look up at the exact same time, completely shook by the glitch spawning mid-event. A red system warning flashes in their eyes, pinging a totally unprecedented threat level. An absolutely disgusting aberration spawns from the portal, proving a catastrophic event is going down right here. The doom-bringing beast starts charging up a massive orb of wipe-out energy between its hands. Staring down the raid boss, the queen squints, knowing this is a critical emergency. Out of the void, a giant skeletal arm rips through space, trying to clip into our dimension. With zero warning, the undead beast fires a purple death ray straight at the center of the map. The blast is so blinding that the crowd covers their faces in panic, thinking the sun just exploded. The enraged monster keeps spamming its destruction beam non-stop without a cooldown. A colossal pillar of deletion hits the arena dead-on, threatening to dust everything in its path. The elite fighters just watch the light, frozen, unable to process the size of the ambush. Ready to carry, the rank 1 clicks her tongue and grips her sacred blade like a pro. Turning off her limiters, Toa winds up an insane vertical strike to parry the incoming wipe. Gritting her teeth, the warrior dumps all her mana into the sword to push back the giant attack. But right before her light attack launches, a terrifying black flame randomly cuts through the air. The planet's top adventurer widens her eyes in shock as the dark energy zooms right past her side. Covered in a nightmare aura, the hero walks super chill toward the chaos, leaving Toa amazed by his massive magic pool. The system spams alerts about a max-tier beast, but Haruhito literally ignores all the PvP rules. With his left eye glowing neon blue, he raises his arm toward the floating hazard. The hero starts unleashing his broken stats, showing absolutely zero hesitation. Instantly, the black magic wrapping him explodes, sending wild shockwaves through the whole stadium. Compressing the black fire into a tiny orb in his hand, the MC reveals his old memories are buffing him. Using his fingers like a literal gun aimed at the sky, he lines up to pop his ultimate skill. Locked in max focus, the adventurer triggers his fully charged shot. A massive laser of dark magic tears through the sky at insane speed, punching through the clouds. The heavy blast snipes right through the skeleton's beam, treating the boss's attack like absolute garbage. Finally, a colossal boom rocks the sky, mixing light and dark in a totally cinematic cutscene. The crazy noise makes Haruhito look up, and he tags the giant beast as one of the divine bosses that bricked his old server. Scanning the zone, he figures out the insane attack came from a giant bone claw trying to tear the skybox. Our guy also spots the beast's huge eyes, glowing with rainbow colors out of the darkness. Right then, the boss's name tag pops into his head, confirming it's the Nightmare Underworld King Ida. Super stressed by the leak, the hero wonders if this ugly mob is going to crash this new server too. Down on the field, the crowd and the players stare at the sky totally frozen, unable to compute the danger. Trying to cope with the crazy graphics, some students ignore the red flags and assume it's just a sick hologram for the exam. Catching the actual vibe, our MC screams at the top of his lungs, telling them to evacuate the zone ASAP. The jump scare warning breaks the crowd out of their lag. Still holding mid, he figures out that if this server runs the same code as the old one, it's about to be a total wipe. Out of nowhere, the AD flashes a red alert, showing multiple dungeon portals spawning all over the city. Because of this, a ton of lethal mobs break out of bounds, ready to grief humanity. Totally stressed by the server crashing again, Haruhito watches the mob rush start, confirming his bad ending prediction. Moving fast, the guy tells everyone to stop looking up and start migrating to the safe zones right now. Hearing the callouts, Toa has no idea how he knows about a bunker that's still in beta, but she skips the questions because of the aggro. Super anxious to keep the NPCs alive, the hero begs them to grab their squads and log out of the area right this second. He raises his voice, dropping a fast warning that the massive mob raid starts in under 10 minutes. The timer ticking down means the monster's toxic rage is about to take over the entire map. Up in the stands, some girls doubt the panic, deciding to just text their moms instead. On the flip side, the guys get salty, refusing to follow orders and whining that they're only there to simp, not do cardio. Annoyed by how stubborn everyone is, the MC hears a system voice sigh, asking if his carry wasn't good enough. The mysterious AI keeps analyzing, pointing out how tragic it is for him to take damage protecting total noobs. Ignoring the system's toxic advice, the guy locks back onto the crowd and yells at them to fall back. Suddenly, Toa Fuyutsuki pops a blinding flashbang in the stadium, telling the audience to literally shut up. The top adventurer's boss aura and icy glare instantly put the whole place on mute. Surprised by the leader's hardcore crowd control, Haruhito is shook by how she just dominated the lobby. Taking slow, confident steps, the fighter walks to center stage to sync up with him. Looking him dead in the eye, the queen skips the small talk and asks how he leaked the password to the secret bunker. Before he can reply, she guesses the restricted files got datum in somehow, but decides to save the ban hammer for later. Knowing it's a crisis, the commander demands a TLDR on what's about to happen and asks for a strat to defend, finding out the mobs will spawn in a massive ring nearby. Replying fast, the guy admits his callouts sound like total cap with zero proof, since nobody in this meta has even studied Dungeon Rage yet. Shocking our hero, the adventurer doesn't doubt him for a frame and summons her assistant with a snap. Snatching the secretary's iPad, Toa orders her to connect straight to the server admins, the country's politicians. Taking the wheel, the commander flags the entire city at threat level red, saying she'll tank any ban for breaking protocol. Haruhito's jaw drops watching the warrior flame the top brass, demanding they deploy the rapid response squad instantly. Right after, she drops another call, forcing them to unlock the secret bunkers right now, totally ignoring that they're still in early access. Watching her wild logistics to carry the server, the MC processes how she just trusted his callouts without questioning a single pixel. Wrapping up the escape routes, she lowers her device and calmly asks for his next waypoints. While they prep the zone, purple clouds corrupt the city's skybox and interdimensional portals tear open at the intersections. In the normally chill streets, humanoid beasts stroll around looking smug, laughing at how easy it is to farm defenseless players. Hyped for the easy XP, one demon talks about how satisfying it is to grief crowds, praising the boss for greenlighting the purge. The squad leader plans to kidnap the girls with the highest magic stats and wipe the rest of the casuals without a second thought. Cutting back to the arena chaos, the other warriors group up around the queen, totally lost, trying to figure out how to patch this mess. Keeping her boss energy, the number one points straight at our MC, telling them he's the shot caller from now on. Fully trusting his stats, she declares the rescue op is live and waits for him to ping the first target. Taking the party leader role like a champ, Haruhito says the main quest is getting everyone out of the stadium and into the safe zones. Wasting 0 frames, the commander buffs her voice with magic and forces the evacuation like an absolute dictator. The whole crowd obeys with a massive collective shout, leaving our hero shook by her insane admin privileges. Super fast, the audience starts migrating systematically toward the escape routes. Seeing his warning work perfectly, the guy tilts his head, unable to hold back a heavy question. He straight up asks why she put so much trust in a random warning dropped by him. Caught off guard by the blunt question, the heroine turns her head slightly, feeling her face heat up. Flashing a teasing smile and putting a finger to her blushing lips, Toa jokes that her lore is locked behind a paywall for now. The wholesome vibes get instantly ruined when the assistant crash lands right in the middle of the field. Completely panicking over the wipe, Arya catches her breath and apologizes for the bad entrance before dropping a serious warning. Rejecting the red tape mid-raid, the leader tells the minion to just spit it out. Trying to act professional, the assistant hypes up the guy's clutch play in defending the zone from the nuke. Confused by the dramatic pause, the untouchable adventurer crosses her arms to get to the point. Unable to hold back, the assistant screams that it's literal throw logic to follow a random dude strats and that the invasion rumor is pure cap. Before she can fully debunk Haruhito, a massive explosion goes off on the city skyline, brutally confirming the threat is real. Feeling the rumble, the secretary's eyes pop out of her head as she turns to see the mushroom cloud in the distance. The comms blow up with SOS spam from the guild, begging any nearby heroines to stop the mobs griefing the zone. The leftover students watch the disaster on their screens, seeing military squads begging for a carry against unkillable bosses. Looking at the receipts, the leader glares at her squad and asks if anyone else wants to argue with the guy. Without wasting a single frame, she adjusts her gear and officially announces their main quest is to save NPCs and delete the mobs. Before she jumps into the PvP, she turns to our hero one last time, nicely asking if he has a mapped out strat. Seeing her act like a total sub, the assistant gets a critical hit to her pride, furious that her queen is taking orders from a noob. Going full try hard on tactics, Haruto reminds the girl about the basic mob AI during these massive raids. He calmly explains their pathing is super obvious: rush the populated zones and focus whoever has the biggest mana pool. Curious about why they're targeting the high stat players, the explorer asks what the real motive is behind hunting the students. Sounding super serious, our MC drops the lore that their endgame is a mystery and that the girls who get taken never respawn. After processing the hardcore difficulty, the number one heroine decides to prep for the absolute worst case scenario. Seeing her big brain logic, the hero nods, confirming the mob squad is going to try to wipe the country's top talent off the map. Their flawless game sense pinpoints the exact center of the next raid, tagging the Elite Explorer Academy as the main target. Inside the school, Natsuki and her squad watch through the window as the horror escalates, realizing they're boxed in for a deathmatch. Yep. In the school hallways, Natsuki tanks the front line for the boys, even knowing the run is basically doomed. Suddenly, a winged mob named Jamsiera drops from the ceiling, looking at the players like they're pure trash. The Dark Angel complains that seeing guys hide behind a girl makes him want to puke. Annoyed by the cringe display, he asks if the dudes have even a single ounce of shame camping like that. Hearing the boss's toxic trash talk, the students completely blue screen, having no idea what buttons to press. The enemy challenges the guys to a 1v1, baiting them to show they aren't complete bots. Refusing to listen to the yapping, the heroine rushes in with a slash, telling him he talks way too much. The girl lands back on the floor, while her squad nervously asks if her HP dropped. Totally hyped, one guy cheers, thinking the warrior's attack dealt massive critical damage. But the hype dies instantly when the girl winces, realizing her combo totally whiffed. With 0 damage taken, the angel praises her attack, while she realizes she took heavy recoil damage mid-air. The monster validates her passive skill, hyped over her insane ability to mask her power level. Tanking the pain, the girl can barely stay standing and starts coughing bad. Exploiting her low HP, the beast steps up with some creepy plans and announces she's getting drafted to his squad. Totally grossed out by his trash lore, the heroine tries to hide her wound and says he must be trolling. Seeing the adventurer about to get wiped, the guys absolutely panic and beg for a miracle patch. The angel growls super aggressively and sarcastically claims he just had a 200 IQ idea. Staring at the terrified casuals, the beast demands they choose between rage, quitting, or throwing hands. With the girls CC'd, he challenges the squad to step up if they actually want to save their carry. Pinned by the enemy's claws, Natsuki groans from the pressure and can't find a single skill to counter. Facing absolute game over, one guy completely freezes, paralyzed by the incoming wipe. Failing to find his courage stat, the dude takes steps backward, totally dropping the idea of fighting. The whole party scrambles in terror, begging the adventurer to forgive them for being absolute bots. Running for their lives, they try to dodge the guilt by claiming this isn't their raid to clear. Happy that the cowards logged off, the monster announces her RNG is terrible and she wasted her buff on total trash. Completely out of mana and abandoned by her party, the girl's stamina breaks and she hits 0 energy. The girl collapses on the school floor, groaning because the debuff is keeping her from re-engaging. Supers the angel flexes his lethal blade and notices her auto, heal isn't proc-ing. He gives her props for even trying to stance up on 1 HP, while the girl realizes in horror that her regen is broken. Raising the weapon like a complete psycho, the creature lines up the execution strike on the downed girl. Trying to BM her to the very end, the monster shoves his hand out and orders her to lick his fingers. The Dark Angel swears that if she follows his rules, she'll unlock the premium companion package. Looking completely drained, the girl asks if taking the deal saves not just her, but her school friends too. Being a total villain, the beast only guarantees her save file, calling her a noob for caring about the NPCs. Right then, a teammate yells from a distance in pure panic, begging her not to accept those garbage terms. The ally pleads with the adventurer to drop the quest and not give the enemy a free humiliating win. Ignoring the call-out, Natsuki closes her eyes and leans in, clearly hating every second of it. Thinking he got the easy W, the monster praises her surrender with a super toxic, arrogant voice. The girl keeps moving toward the beast's hand, looking like she fully accepted the bad ending. Breathing heavy, the heroine gets inches away from his fingers, waiting for the exact frame. Out of nowhere, she animation, cancels and bites the monster's hand with max force, completely rejecting the surrender. Shook by the random critical damage, the angel yanks his hand back, asking why she'd throw the game like that. Flashing a fierce, unbreakable look, the girl confidently drops the lore that her heart already belongs to someone else. A wholesome flashback hits her brain, proving why she'd never click accept on the enemy's deal. Triggered into rage mode by the reject, the enemy charges up a fatal spell to perma, ban her from the server. Knowing she can't frame the pure energy attack, the girl just closes her eyes and waits for the respawn screen. The angel charges the insta-kill magic an inch from the defenseless girl's face. Suddenly, a literal shadow rift tears through the map, violently interrupting the beast's cast. The student opens her eyes, super confused as she tags a friendly unit spawning right next to her. Popping out of the void, Haruito yoinks the girl out of the kill zone with an insane dash. Tilted to the max, our hero asks what the point is of the monster's absolute trash tier behavior. Super confused by the random spawn, the angel asks which vent the guy just popped out of. Flashing a hyper-focused, lethal look, our hero replies deadpan that he used the shadows. Thinking the guy is trolling, the monster laughs his head off and calls the dude a total scrub. Wasting 0 time, the beast fires a massive laser down their lane, claiming he already read the guy's movement. The hit absolutely glasses the terrain, making the student scream in terror at the ow damage. Thinking he secured the double kill, the beast sarcastically guesses he buffed his attack and wiped them both. Walking casually through the wreckage, the angel debates if he should farm the rest of the girls or go group up with his bro. But a sudden chill hits the enemy's spine, forcing him to freeze and check his 6. The monster's eyes bulge out of his skull when he sees something literally impossible tanked his ultimate. Covered by an unbroken shadow shield, Haruito is holding the girl, while the enemy rages about how they survived the wipe. Keeping his face hidden behind dark magic, the MC coldly replies he literally just parried the magic. Annoyed by the casual flex, the angel clicks his tongue, admitting he miscalculated the opponent's defense stat. Instantly, his rage swaps to chaotic hype, and the monster drops a GG for the rival's insane block. The beast happily announces this is exactly the kind of PvP a real try-hard wants, and kicks off the duel. The enemy challenges him to a hardcore 1v1 deathmatch, but gets completely cut off by the hero telling him to pause. Ignoring the boss fight request, the guy gently puts the student down and asks if her movement keys still work. He politely turns to the beast and says, "My bad," for interrupting the cutscene. Feeling insanely disrespected by the casual vibe, the enemy rushes in raging, throwing a one-hit KO punch. The girl screams in terror seeing the speed hack, while the enemy drops a psycho laugh. But the beast's face glitches out mid-attack when he realizes something heavy-duty just caught his fist. Using only one hand, Haruito completely stops the boss's massive punch like it was a tutorial mob. Leaking black energy full of creepy eyes, our MC seriously repeats his warning to wait his freaking turn. Completely stunned, locked by the hero's broken strength, the angel sweats bullets, failing to process the scale of his magic. From the backline, the rest of the students are absolutely mind-blown seeing a guy hold off an elite boss's rush without breaking a single sweat. Recognizing the face, the scaredy cat student flinches, totally refusing to believe what his own two eyes are looking at. Panicking hard, he finally puts the puzzle pieces together and realizes Ayukawa is standing right there in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Haruedo pulls the bruised explorer away from the danger zone, while the other students just stare, absolutely shook. Moving super carefully, he asks if the girl can walk, getting a shy nod in response. Suddenly, the young girl catches up to reality and asks, totally stressed out, if he isn't that Haruhido guy from school. Keeping his cool, the MC just nods, dropping a casual comment about how it's been a hot minute since they last bumped into each other. The student goes completely speechless, trying to process this wild reunion right in the middle of all the chaos. Then, a memory hits her, and she realizes this is the exact same dude who saved her that other time back at school. Their quick moment of peace gets totally ruined by the bully's hysterical screaming echoing across the whole courtyard. Annoyed by the noise, our hero glances over his shoulder to see who's making all that racket. Losing his grip on reality, the bully points and trashes the MC, claiming a total NPC like him could never throw hands for real. Freaked out by his random meltdown, the girls try to wrap their heads around a guy being on the battlefield and warn him that the area is way too dangerous. Completely ignoring the background noise from the hater, Haruhido tells the students to dip out of there as fast as possible and find a safe spot. Dropping his ego entirely, he gives a slight bow to hype up their bravery, showing major respect for the grind they put in. The trainees are left stunned and a little confused by the random kindness, right in the middle of a disaster zone. The hero keeps his tone warm and points out that they fought like absolute bosses, pushing their limits to defend the civilians. Hearing the girls get all the praise, the bully grinds his teeth, totally consumed by a toxic mix of jealousy and humiliation. Ignoring the coward's massive tantrum, the MC steps up to the plate, asking the girls to leave the rest of the fight to him. With a confident and focused walk, he heads solo straight toward the winged boss that's patiently waiting for him. The guy rocks a look of absolute zero chill, proving he's totally locked in on his mission. Right then, the creature strikes a menacing pose and coldly drops the news that playtime is officially over. Letting out a sarcastic laugh, the angel admits he thought the little chat was pretty entertaining and demands to know the name of his new challenger. Instead of giving a straight answer, the human just points his index finger down at the dirt. A sharp spell slices through the ground, drawing a glowing straight line of energy to separate the two fighters on the field. Focusing on the glowing mark, the MC makes it crystal clear that this line is the ultimate boundary. Dropping his voice to a super intimidating level, he promises to completely delete the monster. It even thinks about taking one more step forward. Beyond furious at the disrespect, the enemy stumps the ground hard, declaring he'd never take orders from some bottom-tier scrub. The beast blasts forward at an insane speed right toward the target, wrapped in a massive aura of pure destruction. But halfway there, the monster's rage turns into pure confusion. Catching him off guard, Haruhido pops up out of nowhere charging a punch, calls out the stomach as his target, and casually suggests the creature try to tank it. Showing absolutely zero mercy, our hero lands a dark, devastating hit right in the opponent's gut. Checking out the brutal damage, the guy critiques the beast's stance and advises it to actually build some decent defense next time. The creature stumbles and takes serious damage, hurting big time when it realizes its magic energy got completely leached. Looking down at his opponent in the dirt, the MC tells him to get up fast because the match barely just started. Magic literally overflowing from his body, he demands the angel stop holding back or this whole thing is going to end way too fast. Having the time of its life with the challenge, the monster summons a magic sword, absolutely loving the crazy intensity of this random boss fight. Instantly, the beast lunges in for a direct strike, causing a massive shockwave on the already busted ground. But the creature finds itself completely lost once again when it loses track of the opponent in the dust cloud. Flexing his perfect agility, Haruhido drops in from above, launching a crushing attack straight down. Even though it gets sent flying by the sheer force of the hit, the beast just keeps laughing hysterically like a total maniac. Dragging itself across the ground until it stops, the opponent gets super hyped about the human's insane durability stats. Channeling a massive chunk of magic into the blade, the angel admits reality totally beat his expectations, and he thought he'd run into someone who could push him to his limit. Safely from the sidelines, the students are completely shook by this OP flex, something they thought was literally impossible for a guy to pull off. Super stoked, the monster yells its full name out loud, bragging that it comes from a highly dangerous family tree. The opponent shifts into a combat stance and claims he finally respects the kid as a real man and a legit brawler. Firing off a massive wave of energy, the creature invites the human to max out the fun in this wild showdown. Covered in his own impenetrable energy, Haruhito just sighs, thinking this whole theatrical display is way too dramatic. Without even breaking a sweat, the guy quietly activates his main battle skill. The opponent's brutal attack simply shatters the second it crashes into the hero's invisible shield. The beast can barely believe its eyes when its armor and sacred weapon get vaporized in a split second. Clutching its busted arm, the monster panics, realizing its natural healing hacks got totally cancelled out by the opponent's flames. Next up, the kid's system flexes the activation of an ultimate skill that plunges the whole area into pitch black. A massive chill runs down the creature's spine as it stares down this unknown, overwhelming OP energy. Freaking out, the angel asks how a human could even equip skills of this level, while the MC powers up his divine relic. Taking the attack head on, the beast learns the hard way that this OP flex goes way beyond regular human stats. Trying to counter at all costs, the enemy bitterly realizes that absolutely none of its attacks are even scratching the dark barrier. Moving with surgical precision locked onto his target, the hero pushes forward, cutting off every single escape route. A creepy skull visual pops up, showing the true, primal vibe of the magic the guy is controlling. Cornered and unable to counter, the monster whispers that this ridiculously overkill move reminds him of a very ancient being. Totally defeated and about to check out, the creature takes more damage and drops a weak laugh, calling the enemy an absolute nightmare. Even while fading into ash, the enemy drops some final laughs, hyping up the opponent's broken stats before logging out for good. The creature's very last conscious thought tries to send a warning to some supposed brother, letting him know this kid is a massive threat to their whole race. Completely locked in, the hero snags the rare drop item left behind, right as the system confirms the max level threat mission is officially cleared. Checking out the red crystal in his hands, he confirms how rare this loot from the defeated beast really is. Out of nowhere, some dark energy sprouts from the MC's hand, trying to randomly snack on the shiny item. Super weirded out by this, the guy watches his own magic consume the crystal, while the system hits him with a notification there is only one single target left on the planet. Far from there, standing in a crazy downpour, Tawa gets the exact same system ping and confirms she's closing in on the final threat. Back at the wrecked school, the coward watches the hero and keeps sweating bullets, refusing to accept the miracle he just witnessed. Shaking with rage and jealousy, the hater keeps muttering that it's literally impossible for a guy to have thrown down like that. Trying to trash the kid's reputation by any means necessary, the student yells at the girls, bringing up how he was the one behind an attack a few days ago, and that he ran away. Pointing his finger in the light rain, the bully calls Haruhito a freak and labels him a glitch to try and explain away his busted strength. Totally unhinged, the coward demands the explorers cancel the hero, claiming he isn't human and uses hacked, banned spells. But the veterans and the MC just stare at the dude having a meltdown, letting a super heavy, awkward silence fill the air. Realizing nobody is buying his act, the hater panics and asks why everyone is giving him the side eye. Completely losing the plot, he keeps screaming desperately, begging them to see the kid as a monster in disguise. Absolutely unhinged, the coward demands someone eliminate the guy immediately, calling his whole vibe pure trash. Before the student can spit out any more nonsense, Natsuki walks right up to him and delivers a massive slap to his face. Dazed by the random hit, the scaredy cat stutters his classmate's name, having zero clue why he just got smacked. Feeling her own face burn with embarrassment, the explorer takes a deep breath, trying to chill out. Rocking a super determined look, the girl gathers the courage to say what needs to be said without holding back. Keeping an eye on her HP, Haruhito warns that her injuries still need to be handled super carefully. Catching the MC totally off guard, the girl suddenly throws herself at him, wrapping him in a massive hug. Not knowing how to handle the random PDA, the guy just stands there completely lost with his classmate leaning on his chest. Ignoring her own damage, she guarantees she's feeling amazing, all because he swooped in and saved her right on time. With eyes full of gratitude and totally in her feels, the student repeats that she feels incredibly safe right there. Getting super flustered by the whole scene, the hero awkwardly points out that literally everyone is staring right at them. Pouting at his goofy panic, the girl argues it'd be rude not to thank the guy who saved her game, and suggests the audience can just deal with it. Down on his knees, the hater grumbles in total disbelief, trying to figure out why she chose that specific useless guy. Out of nowhere, a system ping ruins the mood, letting them know a massive magical energy signature is still active in the disaster zone. Moving fast, the hero apologizes to his classmate and dashes off, sitting on the ground. The girl realizes he's already off to carry someone else. Flashing a huge smile, Natsuki calls the MC by his name and suggests they grab a bite together the second he wraps up this quest. Caught off guard by the invite, he just nods and triggers his shadow dash to zip out of there at insane speeds. Watching the guy zoom off into the distance, the student lets out a dreamy sigh, admitting to herself just how totally cool his whole vibe is. Far from the school, a brutal storm is hammering the city, with massive lightning strikes wrecking the surrounding buildings. Standing in the pouring rain, Tewafutsuki stares down the ruined zone, feeling the pressure of the next boss fight. Taking in the insane wreckage in front of her, the world's #1 explorer deadpans a question, asking if the enemy was the one who trashed the place. Smirking like a troll, the horned demon owns up to the disaster and asks if she has a problem with it. Keeping her distance in the busted arena, the queen quietly admits it was kind of a dumb question since the answer was so obvious. Then, the creature's eyes go wide, pretty shocked by the human's totally fearless energy out in the storm. In a split second, the adventurer launches forward with crazy speed, tearing through the wind straight at her distracted target. Flashing a lethal ice-cold glare, she lets him know his whole existence is highly annoying. Flexing her rare speed, the hero drops a blinding uppercut strike, trying to cleave the opponent with one single hit. The sharp clash of her divine attack triggers a massive boom, sending rubble flying everywhere. Standing perfectly still in the dust, she asks out loud if there is even one single civilian still breathing in that wrecked zone. Right on cue, a little kid's panic crying echoes through the ruins, grabbing the explorer's attention. Without hesitating for even a second, Tawa dashes off again, popping her sprint skill to reach the crying sound. Right in the middle of the ruined downtown area, a totally confused little girl is crying in pure terror, getting soaked by the heavy rain. Shaking non-stop, the kid curls up and begs for help in the middle of that nightmare scenario. Thinking she got left behind for good, the girl drops her head, losing all hope that anyone is coming to rescue her in time. Suddenly, the unbeatable hero slides into the frame over the broken pavement, hitting the brakes right in front of the terrified kid. Startled by the random spawn, the kid stops crying and checks out this majestic figure with major curiosity. With crazy soft and empathetic vibes, the adventurer leans in close to chill the panicked survivor out. Wrapping the kid in a super warm hug, Tawa hypes up the girl's bravery for holding her ground and surviving this long. Keeping her voice gentle, the warrior asks if it was super scary and drops a genuine apology for taking so long to show up. Finally, feeling safe, the little girl can't hold back the feels and starts ugly crying, burying her face in her rescuer's shoulder. The top-tier adventurer just stays respectfully quiet, acting as a safe zone to comfort the sobbing kid. Through her hiccups, the little girl calls out for her dog, who tried to tank the disaster for her, and is now knocked out cold. Crying her eyes out, she explains the creature punted the animal super hard, and her pet hasn't moved since. Getting how heartbreaking the scene is, Toa stands up gracefully and hypes the kid up, telling her she has an amazing family. Keeping that calm energy, the queen reaches out a glowing hand and gently pets the injured dog's fur. Dropping an incredibly warm healing spell, the hero restores the injured pet's HP and confirms they really are mankind's ultimate besties. Feeling the healing buff kick in, the dog's ears perk up, slowly rebooting back to consciousness. Right after, the pet opens its eyes, proving it fully shook off that brutal hit. Leaving the little girl totally amazed, the dog lets out an energetic bark and hops on its feet, blowing the kid's mind with the miracle she just saw. Glowing with happiness, the kid hugs her furry best friend super tight, incredibly relieved she didn't lose him. Vibing with the wholesome moment, the explorer softly asks where the kid's parents are. Instantly, the girl's face drops into a sad look, confirming the tragic state her folks are in thanks to the monster's attack. Glancing back, Tawa spots the couple lying in the rubble with their HP critically low. Doing a quick scan of the two civilians, the warrior sadly notices they are barely holding on. Refusing to take another loss, the hero cranks her light powers to the max and flat out vetoes their game over, stating it just isn't their time to clock out yet. Right in the middle of the heavy healing process, the warrior catches something creeping up and shoots a deadly glare over her shoulder. Thanks to the hero's OP holy energy, the parents wake up totally confused, and the little girl runs over crying to hug them, celebrating the family reunion. Right at that second, a rescue squad rolls up to the wreckage, and the medics instantly spot the top adventurer patching up the victims. The healthcare pros rush over to the injured, dropping major respect for the emergency saves and the safe zone the leader set up. Totally locked in on her main quest, the queen skips the small talk and orders the squad to prioritize the victim's safety over literally everything else. Suddenly, the untouchable champ's eyes go wide as she picks up a suffocating vibe rushing straight at the group. Spotting a fatal sneak attack coming in at unreal speeds, she tries to ping the medical team and the rescued family. Pulling a desperate move to block the worst-case scenario, Toa spins around lightning fast and screams at the top of her lungs for everyone to hit the deck. A massive magic attack shaped like a water blade slices through the air, ready to wipe out everything in its path. Throwing her sword up with perfect reflexes, the explorer parries the cheap shot, but gets pushed back hard by the insane knockback force. Sweating buckets to guard everyone, the fighter tanks the heavy current while the boss slowly spawns out of the aggressive waves. Stepping out of his own destructive move with a psycho smirk, the demon happily claps for the warrior's insane reaction time. Flexing a nasty cut on his face from her holy counter, the beast trolls her, admitting that little scrape was actually pretty fun. Holding an unbreakable stance in front of the medics, the elite soldier orders them to stay in cover and not try to run. Healing up his scratched face, the water creature drops a gross laugh, pointing out that physical builds are useless against a liquid form, and takes a second to simp over the opponent's crazy good looks. Totally obsessed with the hero, the enemy slides forward on his own magic water, demanding a close-up view of her face. Not showing an ounce of fear, number 1 plants her feet in the busted concrete, ready to tank the creature's wild aggro. Overflowing with determination, she charges up and dashes like a laser beam straight at the monster. The two fighters clash brutally mid-air, dropping a massive shockwave that splashes water everywhere. Staring dead into the demon's eyes with a freezing look, Toa drops a heavy threat, saying she only came over to show her face right before she deletes him. The giant clash between the explorer and the water boss sends a massive knockback wave across the whole arena. Watching from a safe distance, one of the medics is totally mind blown by the adventurer's ability to parry that attack in a split second. Spotting the incoming danger, Toa quickly yells at the squad to stay stealthy and avoid drawing aggro. Feeling himself way too much, the demon warns he hasn't finished the job with that injured human on the ground. He mocks the whole setup, giving the warrior props for guessing his next move perfectly. Moving fast, the beast fires a brutal water blast right at the defenseless victims. Caught off guard by the super toxic play, the queen's eyes widen as she realizes her cooldowns are too slow to intercept it. The hit catches the squad completely off guard, and the creature hypes itself up, thinking the human totally failed to guard the little girl. With the victims completely stunned, locked by the freezing skill, the enemy flexes his plan to hunt down any human hiding in the zone. Foaming at the mouth over his twisted sadism, the explorer roasts the creature with everything she's got. Catching her aggressive clapback, the demon notes she actually has a soft heart, even while rocking that scary face. Hovering in the air, the beast buffs his stats, spawning a massive water orb, while sarcastically praising her vibe. Holding the high ground, the creature trolls the adventurer, calling this whole thing a legit endurance test. He asks if she can really carry the whole team and keep all the NPCs alive in the middle of this storm. Gripping her divine sword tight, Toa mutters a heavy curse word, making it obvious she's officially out of patience. At that exact moment, the warrior triggers the full release of her magic limiters, bypassing the safety protocols. Glaring at the water beast with pure disgust, she announces that toxic garbage like him is exactly why she can't stand guys. Charging an insane amount of holy buff into her sword, the warrior preps an epic tear strike. She fires off a massive, glowing flying slash that cuts through the sky straight at the hovering boss. Having an absolute blast, the monster dodges it with style, just admiring the crazy good graphics on her attack. Sinking back into his liquid shield, the creature warns her that dodging his ultimate move is literally impossible. Right on cue, a terrifying, massive flood drops straight down on the hero standing on the ground. Without even taking a single step back, the best of them all uses her holy sword to split the aggressive wave, trying to crush her. Using the visual clutter from the attack, the monster spawns right behind the little girl trapped in the ice. Catching the rat play out of the corner of her eye, the queen hears the kid's desperate scream. Super casually, the demon snaps his fingers, triggering the trap he just set up. The adventurer's eyes pop, instantly realizing the dirty trick he just pulled. A toxic liquid blast nails the warrior in the back, and she begs the monster to cut the corrosive damage out. The young survivor watches in pure terror as her hero tanks all the damage to keep the innocent bystanders safe. Taking the direct hit from the enemy's magic, Toa grinds her teeth, pushing hard to power through the insane damage ticks. Completely soaked and dropping to her knees, the explorer turns her head, only caring if the kid is okay. Totally traumatized seeing her hero take a massive hit, the kid breaks down crying hysterically. Chilling mid-air, the monster reviews his own move, bragging that any standard player would have been one shot by a tiny drop of that. Super curious, he hypes up the hero's defense stats for burning raw magic to cancel out the fatal water damage. Ignoring the villain monologue, Toa gets up fast and fires another heavy slash, telling the creature to shut its mouth. The monster blocks the holy energy effortlessly, warning her that spamming that move won't get her anywhere. Acting all high and mighty, the boss explains that his built-in hacks easily outscale basic human magic. Not even flinching, the queen asks about this brand new lore the enemy just dropped. Hyped that the hero doesn't know the meta, the demon suggests they keep this lethal game going. Juggling the water orbs, the creature lays out his plans, wondering if he should just wipe the targets before taking her down. Left with zero options, the warrior goes all in, pushing through the crazy stamina drain on her character. Striking nothing but air, she hears the opponent act, impressed that the humans use the distraction to ditch the aggro zone. Parts of the adventurer's gear start melting away because of the constant DOT, a damage over timing from the magic water on her skin. Spawning out of the liquid shadows, the creature totally chills out to set up his final combo. Completely out of stamina and hitting her knees again, Toa gasps for air, trying to figure out what the enemy's cryptic trash talk meant. Trying super hard not to pass out, she bitterly realizes she burned through all her mana, just trying to parry the water spam. Checking out the injured girl, the demon simps over her aesthetic, promising she's top tier enough to be compared to his own supreme race. After doing some quick math while floating over the rubble, the beast hits the warrior with an update, saying he made up his mind. Flexing some subtle water moves, the monster drops a wild proposal, demanding the hero become his wifey. Without even letting her hit decline, the boss threatens to hack her brain with his magic water to take full control of her character. Trying to catch her breath, the adventurer listens to the creepy promise that she'll soon be feeding him pure love. Pushing for an aggressive finish, the beast promises he'll also unlock the true OP stats hiding inside her. Out of nowhere, a totally devastating punch wrecks the monster's face, completely deleting his smug vibe. Taking a massive surprise hit, the enemy takes heavy damage to the mouth and tries to play it cool. Scraping together her last bit of mana, the queen stands up again, making it obvious how much she thinks this dude belongs in the trash. Staring at her own shaking hand, she admits she hit her absolute limit and her MP bar is totally empty. With her vision getting blurry, the explorer mentally tallies up the massive debuffs from all the HP she just lost. Panning hard, the warrior accepts the sketchy reality of her broken bones and the absolutely cursed state of this boss fight. A super nostalgic flashback to the beach takes over the girl's brain, bringing up a major promise from back in the day. Thinking about the guy who swore to protect her, she lets out a soft sigh, calling him an idiot for never noticing the feels she was hiding. Shaking off the random punch, the enemy casually asks for the hero's username. Hitting him with a look of pure whatever, the adventurer fires back that she only drops her gamertag for people she actually likes. Shrugging off the rejection for now, the demon raises his magic hand and swears he's gonna rip that answer out of her the second he mind controls her. Suddenly, a massive blast of dark fire sends the creature flying, catching the enemy totally off guard. Spawning out of the shadows, Haruhita joins the server, with his system greenlighting the release of his absolute potential against this god-tier threat. Moving with impossible frames, the hero drops a crushing punch, launching the demon straight into the concrete. The brutal crash totally dents the monster's face, dealing massive damage that literally no other player had been able to pull off. Rolling through the debris without being able to hit the brakes, the enemy freaks out, realizing how insanely fast this new challenger is. Getting his balance back mid-air, the creature tries to act tough again, claiming physical hits don't bypass his innate passives. But the demon's system takes a massive shock, and he spits out some heavy damage, proving his unbeatable shield just got nerfed. Totally shook, the monster's eyes pop as it realizes it is actually taking real physical damage in this matchup. Taking a slow walk through the wrecked zone, the guy sarcastically asks about that immunity cheat code the creature kept flexing. Touching his busted face, the monster is mind blown to realize humans also have a guardian rocking this kind of insane power level. Wrapped in a creepy, dark vibe, Haruhito flexes his oppressive aura, getting certified by the enemy as a legit god-level player. Looking at the top adventurer totally chill, the guy just says what's up to his old teammate like everything is completely fine. Ready to throw down, Haruhito looks at his partner and asks if she's still got enough stamina to keep playing. Blushing super hard, Toa looks away, muttering that this dude literally never stops talking for even 1 second. With that, the hero grips her holy sword super tight, proving she is 100% ready to go. Teaming up on the front lines, the duo smirks with total confidence, hyped for the epic boss fight coming their way. Far from that spot, the assistant area calls up the team of veterans made of Itsuki, Yui, and Clara to drop a status update on their leader. The secretary warns that the #1 warrior is already boxing a lethal beast downtown and asks if they know the game plan. Flashing an excited smile, Itsuki promises she totally understood the assistant's ping without any issues. Yui and Clara nod too, agreeing to speedrun the trash mobs in the area so they can go support the boss. Panning back to the disaster zone, the water monster just floats there, watching the hero duo party up. With way too much ego, the liquid creature asks if the humans are finally done yapping. Out of nowhere, a winged NPC that looks like an old dude spawns into the map, dropping a friendly invite. Boomer politely asks the elite girls to follow him to his server, without making a huge scene. Holding a staff covered in spikes, the mystery enemy praises the young fighters for their grind and solid stats. Yu just hugs her plushie and super calmly lets him know they are in a rush, leaving the new guy totally confused. The student clears things up, mentioning that an insane force just teamed up with Tao's majestic glow, leaving the old warrior pretty amazed. Yui wraps up her logic, warning that the water demon is probably going to get a game over in this raid. On the front lines, Haruito and the adventurer launch an impossibly fast combo attack right at the liquid boss. Trying to block the double team, the creature spams heavy water blasts to push the players away. Keeping the pressure on, the hero summons his shadows and fires a massive dark energy wave straight up. Catching the surprise hit, the opponent falls back screaming in pain, trying to fix his character model. The beast realizes, totally triggered, that his exclusive liquid hacks are completely useless against this guy. With his eyes wide open, the creature confirms in pure panic that the human's attacks are actually draining his HP bar. Besides dealing with the kid, the enemy notices the light hero's whole combat stance got a massive upgrade too. He literally can't process how the girl, who was on 0 stamina a minute ago, is now moving with way better frames. Salty about the sudden debuff, the boss promises he can just hit ignore on all her attacks. Punishing the monster sloppy play, Haruito teleports in 1 second flat right in front of the creature's face. The MC drops a crushing vertical shadow kick, casually asking if this was really the best time for the boss to stop paying attention. The hit buries the demon into the floor, making the beast take heavy damage to the mouth. Totally shocked by the critical hit it just took. Landing safely, Toa is amazed to see the guy's combo is actually dealing legit damage to the water enemy. The explorer confirms the stats, but his partner cuts him off with a smile, saying she trusts him completely. Haruito gets slightly thrown off by the random wholesome comment, wondering internally why she has so much faith in him. Ruining the duo's vibe, the monster gets up pulling a ton of water and sarcastically asks if they have all day to just chat. The creature charges its ultimate water spell, flexing that this hack can one-shot anyone instantly. Reacting instantly, the guy pops his massive shadow shield, completely bubble, wrapping them both. The monster totally bugs out seeing his strongest spell get parried, wondering what kind of glitch this kid even is. Staying super chill, the hero pings his partner that the monster actually has human hitboxes and he plans to spam attacks there. The guy pulls out his sword coated in dark energy, ready to capitalize on the weak spot he just scanned. Rushing in with a crazy frontal dash, he calls the demon by his tag and asks if he's ready to get logged out. The beast's one visible eye goes huge, totally blown away by the ridiculous speed of the charge. In the next frame, the creature takes a perfect, deep slash to the chest before it can even hit a button to counter. Leaking damage and totally stunned, the monster staggers around, failing to process what just deleted his health bar. Haruito casually explains that using the water ability puts the skill on cooldown before it can be spammed again. Still super dizzy, the opponent wonders exactly when the human found the frames to land that hit. As his water magic starts lagging, the beast notices an even bigger red flag in this whole scenario. Staring hard at the hero with the glowing eye, the creature can't figure out how a random kid knows his username and the exact patch notes for his powers. In the explorer's head, the system asks if he finally remembered this boss, and the kid confirms his saved files are loading back up. He recalls a massive server wipe event in the past where a god tier being deleted a huge chunk of the global player base with floods. The scary beast from his memories went by the King of Water, one of the 7 supreme walking disasters. The hero remembers this was one of the very last bosses he fought in his previous playthrough, but notices the demon has a totally different skin equipped now. Interrupting his thoughts, Toa sprints forward and begs her teammate not to drop his DPS. Feeling the pressure, the monster grinds his teeth and tells the trash humans to stop acting so OP. Suddenly, the water beast freezes mid-sentence, dropping a totally shocked sound. The hero duo slams the brakes too, picking up on a massive shift in the arena's vibe. Boomer spawns hovering nearby, clapping his hands and hyping up the insane skill of the human duo. Glaring at the new spawn, the elite warrior demands to know what this guy did with her party members. The old man and his buddy just float there chilling next to a giant crystal trapping the girls, promising their HP hasn't hit 0 yet. The boomer checks out the water monster's critical HP, while the creature calls him master and asks why he dropped into this lobby. Super calmly, the ancient angel announces that, per their king's orders, the raid is cancelled and they need to extract. At that exact moment, a massive portal with huge doors spawns in the sky, right in the middle of the dark clouds. Completely tilted by the plot twist, Tower raises her voice, trying to figure out what these mobs are actually plotting. The winged enemies fly toward the sky portal, flexing that they're taking the trapped students as exclusive event loot. Flashing a sketchy smile, the master signs off, guaranteeing they'll definitely run into each other in a later patch. Panicking to block the kidnapping, the MC reaches his arm out, feeling the timer ticking down. Going full aggro, Haruto rushes in, buffing his character with his fastest dark magic. With his eye radiating pure rage, the hero swears he absolutely won't let these mobs disconnect. The portal in the sky starts flashing bright, signaling that the extraction window is about to close. Stomping the ground with insane force, the kid launches himself so hard he literally leaves a crater. He flies through the air like a dark missile, heading straight for the floating crystal and the enemies. Wrapped in a terrifying tornado of shadows, the hero trashes the opponents, letting them know the escape route is cancelled. Glancing back, the boomer angel spots the crazy fast incoming player and whispers a super sarcastic, "Low." Out of nowhere, the MC's UI flashes a red warning, letting him know the enemy's power level completely outscales his. The system spams an emergency retreat prompt and weirdly notes that the human feels way different than his classic build. A suffocating aura takes over the server, and the nightmare fuel king of the underworld renders in the portal. The shadow boss spawns sitting on his throne, giving off a vibe that literally locks the hero. Getting knocked back to the dirt, the MC demands they drop the girls, fueled entirely by his darkest save files. The toxic memories from his old playthrough start spamming his brain without mercy. He flashes back to the patch where the whole server was totally conquered by nightmare beasts. In that dark era, players lost all their favorite stuff in literally a split second. That nightmare reality was forced down their throats, making the dark files scream inside the MC's head. Taken over by pure rage and wanting to wipe the whole map, he demands the creature give back every single thing it looted from him. On the other side of the gate, a weird-looking angel finally seems to read the chat. The winged guy realizes this kid was the one who actually zeroed Jamuziera, getting totally mind-blown. Confused, he asks if his brother really got packed up, and the boomer angel confirms the bad news. Keeping his chill, the ancient warrior just sighs at the younger guy's panic. The system drops an emergency alert telling the explorer to log out immediately, scanning the opponent's ridiculously high stats. A secret voice from the system actually sounds sad, admitting it really doesn't want to lose its main player again. The voice begs him to fall back, confessing it is terrified of being left solo again, but the kid pushes forward anyway. The boomer enemy adjusts his spiky weapon and mumbles a few tags, hinting he recognizes a familiar player. Swiping away the warnings, the hero claims that old guy is the only NPC who can drop the lore he needs. But he takes a super quick pause, showing a random lag spike in the middle of all this chaos. Right then, a super weird dark energy starts rendering around his avatar. The system roasts the guy, calling him a total noob for throwing away the rare extra life he got. Flashing a soft smile, the kid apologizes and admits players are just really complicated like that. Giving in to the kid's spam, the main system folds and officially unlocks the ultimate boss, fight mode. A super creepy eye spawns in the dark aura while the entity calls out the guy's full username. Totally covered in tentacles and scary eyes, it drops an alert that the exploration is rebooting at max specs. Moving fast, the boomer angel fires a massive light beam trying to one-shot the human. But the explorer blocks the heavy nuke using his dark tentacles like a completely unbreakable shield. Enemy freaks out hardcore and asks what kind of glitch this kid actually is. Trying to play defense, the creature threatens to damage the trapped students if the MC pushes one more inch. Without giving a single care about the bluff, the hero uses the shadows to snatch the VIPs right out of his hands in 1 second. The angel falls back, gripping his massive critical hit, completely lost on how his arm got deleted so fast. Hard, he spams curse words, realizing his auto-heal passive is totally bugged out. Using the lag, the MC's shadows wrap around the floating rock, holding the elite squad. The system quickly confirms that the Force-class fighters were successfully recovered. Moving insanely fast, the hero chucks the giant crystal straight toward an escape portal. The crystal phases through the magic route safely, pulling the girls out of the danger zone. After securing the rescue objective, he finally gets to lock his camera onto the boss fight. The system calculates the odds and pings that it's time to push the main quest line. He maxes out his buffs, announcing the start of his direct raid against the terrifying king of the underworld. Seeing the disrespect, a whole squad of enemy angels takes to the sky trying to gank the human. Keeping his tryhard energy, the kid fires off a bunch of shadow tentacles, shredding everything in his AoE. MC's eyes glow with that sweaty gamer energy of someone who totally refuses to take an L. He perfectly sidesteps a massive light laser fired by the oldest angle in the squad. Hyped for the PvP, the boomer praises the crazy high agility stats on such a low-level player. Keeping up the trash talk, the kid throws the compliment right back, joking that the old man's got some pretty decent mechanics too. Super hard mid-air, spamming magic particles all over the map. Cranking up his DPS, the hero knocks the enemy back using his OP Dark Strength. Right then, the boomer angel raises his spike stick, pinging his team to pop all their ultimates at once. The MC ends up eating a brutal combo of light attacks coming from literally every angle. But he just triggers his shadow burst, dropping a dark AoE that totally clears the flying minions out of his space. Massive spikes of pure darkness pop out of the ground, completely breaking the enemy's dimension portal. Exploiting the glitch, the hero jumps with insane speed, boosted by his own shadow physics. He shatters the portal's defense shield, rushing straight for the final boss. The chilling on his throne, the giant king of the underworld watches the humans' totally reckless push. Flexing a wild smirk and a glowing eye, the explorer manages to pull the aggro of the supreme boss. The skeleton creature turns its head super slow, looking like it literally cannot believe the guts on this tiny raider. Hovering right in front of the boss's massive face, Haruto drops a super sarcastic, "What's up?" He repeats the welcome with maximum troll energy, making it crystal clear he doesn't have an ounce of fear for the server admin. Sitting in pure silence, the god-tier enemy literally just points a skeleton finger at the edgy kid. A condensed beam of pure deleted code energy shoots from the boss's finger, tagging the hero with a direct hit. Taking the game-ending damage, the kid grinds his teeth, trying his hardest to tank the ridiculous pain from the strike. Even with critical HP, he drops a psycho laugh and fires back one of his dark tentacles as a counter. The shadow blade cracks the base of the boss's throne, dropping a massive sound effect across the sky map. Standing totally AFK, the bone boss just keeps staring at the guy, dropping literally zero reaction animations. The giant skull's deep stare proves just how broken the power scaling is between these two. With stupidly simple mechanics, the king fires another spell that knocks the explorer way back, making him take heavy damage. The bone giant reaches out to just wipe the trash off the server, while the kid runs out of stamina mid-air. The Underworld King's aura totally swallows the zone, completely muting any chance of fighting back. Dropping in free fall from the portal, the MC hears Toa screaming his username desperately from way down below. Glowing with an insanely bright holy buff, the queen flies across the sky, reaching out to carry him. A massive hand made of super soft light grabs the broken player in mid-air, totally canceling his fall damage. Still kind of dizzy from the lag, he hears his partner confidently promise that they are heading back to the lobby. The hero gets pulled away fast from the aggro zone, just as the enemy portal finally closes. Right at that second, a huge, mysterious eye watches the whole stream from far away through the dimension cracks. The boss of the monsters mutters the kid's name, calling game over on that short and brutal clash. Absolutely out of stamina under the light shield, the guy just watches the portal unrender from the city sky. The warrior calls him again, super panicked seeing how low his HP is after that raid. Rebooting his brain, the MC blinks a few times, trying to process that he actually survived the run. The duo just stare at each other in this intense silence, feeling the massive relief of surviving that absolute nightmare. Waking up properly, Haruito realizes his character is resting on the queen's lap, and she immediately notices he's back online. Still a bit lost, he checks his status to see he's still breathing and asks what exactly the current vibe is. With that, the guy sits up holding his head and asks for a status check on the rest of the squad, finally chilling out when he hears they are safe. The whole map is pure chaos after the insane raid, with the elite squad just knocked out on the ground among the rubble. The explorer leader calmly explains that her teammates just passed out from running their stamina bars to zero, but they're totally fine. Completely relieved by the update, the guy thanks his lucky stars nobody got wiped, leaving his partner looking pretty confused. Totally shook, the warrior confesses that just a split second ago the kid's heart had totally stopped, and he was the only one not responding. Shook by the stats, the hero hears the system validate that the dark region passive literally just finished patching him up a few seconds ago. Catching the adventurer's silent panic, he checks his own character model and realizes he actually has zero debuffs or damage. Not being able to hold back her feels, Tawa walks over and squeezes him in a super intense hug, completely shocking the player. With her voice shaking, the girl asks, totally triggered, why he never prioritizes his own survival before tanking damage like that. She feels awful that he's just one guy trying to solo a massive boss and letting his HP drop so low he almost got deleted. Reading his partner's vibe, Haruito figures out she feels guilty, since in this game's lore the absolute rule is that the girls carry the guys. So, the hero gives a little cough to break the awkwardness, totally getting that the guild leader is carrying a massive amount of pressure. Breaking the hug super gently, the MC tells her to stop stressing over his build, pointing out that she was totally out of mana too. Keeping his confident posture, the kid doubles down on his stance, bragging super hard that he's a legit explorer too. He casually adds that he'll just embrace the game over screen whenever his actual timer runs out, leaving the queen completely speechless. Even the system drops a comment on that heavy dialogue, acting pretty impressed by the MC's unbreakable mental game. Plus, the hero mentions that his literal best duo partner from the old days would absolutely pull the exact same move in this scenario. Super chill flashbacks of playing by the beach pop into the chat while he shares his game plan for when he finally meets up with that iconic girl again. Dropping pure facts, the MC admits his only real goal is just not to disappoint that friend with his gameplay. Deep down, the guy throws a mini celebration thinking he totally nailed the speech and managed to clear his partner's guilt debuff. Switching tracks a bit, the warrior asks if he even remembers the girl's username, but the guy admits she actually never shared her real tag back then. Totally mind blown, the queen asks how anyone could be crazy enough to risk a ban over some silly pact made with an anonymous random. Sitting side by side in the wreckage, the hero admits that to casuals, the whole lore probably sounds like total nonsense. The hero takes the emotional hit from those lines and tries to hide how much that backstory totally wrecked her feelings. Showing some real wholesome energy, the guy promises that specific save file is one of the most top-tier things he owns. He remembers the awful grinds at school and admits that, even when the whole lobby was toxic to him daily, he never thought about quitting. It was literally the hype from that old promise that gave him the buff he needed to tank all the trolling and stay on the grind. Seeing his teammate processing the lore drop, the MC wraps it up saying it's totally fine if she can't vibe with his logic. Out of nowhere, the top adventurer jump scares him with a hug, leaving the guy totally confused by the play. Hiding her face in his shoulder, Tawa softly asks if he has any hints on why that friend kept her gamer tag a secret. Diving into her own old files, she explains the girl was terrified that the way the kid treated her would change if he ever saw her real stats. The MC is totally stunned, finally downloading the truth, while the warrior asks if he wants to reveal the actual face behind the promise. Pulling back super slow, the queen looks at her duo with major cute energy and drops his full name to verify her identity. Completely short-circuiting, the kid stutters, asking for a quick pause to try and process the massive data dump he just heard. But the unbeatable champ just scoots even closer, totally ignoring the guy's panicked spam that her hitbox is way too close. The romantic cutscene gets instantly cancelled when one of the elite squad members wakes up stretching right next to them. Totally clueless about the heavy vibes, the soldier brags about her awesome nap and gets a jump scare finding the guy right there in the rubble. Right after, the secretary boots up, fixing her glasses and complaining about all the noise this early in the patch. Spotting the noob hanging with the boss, the staffer says what's up, and the guy tries to play it cool by thanking them for the extraction assist. Weirded out by the setup, the warrior notices the duo acting super close, but the queen claps back fast, clearly sweating. The assistant and the elite soldier just stare at their leader completely frozen, refusing to accept the soft girl mode they just witnessed. The lag is so real that the two of them just silently panic, trying to debug what in the world happened while they were AFK. Stumbling over her words from the stress, the secretary tries to act professional by admitting the boss looks super cute like that, but a massive bad feeling takes over the chat. Triggering her overprotective passive, the staffer predicts that all this random bonding with the noob is going to cause a massive server crash. Panning away from the PvP zone, the map switches to inside an empty building totally swallowed by wild jungle assets. Sniping the battle zone from afar, a stealthy figure drops a toxic comment about the #1 warrior acting all soft and emotional. Scanning the stream closely, the spectator trolls the scene, pointing out that the unbeatable champ literally just looks like a massive simp right now. The enemy's camera quickly snaps to the kid, and she whispers a creepy lore detail about his insane grind to get to this exact level. Chilling on the edge of the broken building, the mystery woman smirks wickedly and calls the hero her hubby, kicking off a whole new problem.